Hello everybody and welcome back to building Priestella. We'll be continuing from where we left off in the previous part, and continuing with the build today, but before we jump into that, I do want to give a massive thank you, because holy crap, the amount of support on part 1 has been crazy. So yeah, just honestly thank you all, and with that, let's jump into it. Today we'll be building the government office, where Mimi gets shanked, and a bunch of other bad shit happens, as well as attempting to map out the underground bunkers around the city that Priestella takes Subaru to. We'll also be updating some of the things we built in part 1 and adding some extra detail to them. So with all that said, let's jump right into this and restart this build from zero. Returning to the central square of the city, we can begin to update the central park area, adding a bunch of extra detailing and putting a finishing touch on this central location. To begin with, we're gonna jump up into the sky real fast and make a copy of the central square. Doing so will allow us to isolate the grassy areas as well as the walkways and paths. Using the replace block command with world edit, we can select individual blocks and then replace them with air, stripping away everything that we don't need. This leaves us with just the grass and pathways, which we can then select the blocks they're made of and replace them with both sand and gravel, allowing them to fall down onto the structure below. This essentially coats the pre-existing ground with a second layer that we can replace. The gravel representing the grassy areas, which we will then replace with different shaded trapdoors and carpets that have the exact same texture as the grass itself, giving some extra detail and depth to the grass, as well as spreading around some ferns and flowers. Doing the same with the gravel areas, which represent the walkways, we can replace the gravel with stone buttons, as well as retextured pressure plates, making the stone path look like it has some depth to it. Lastly, we'll use another replace command to replace the white concrete that makes up the outer walls, replacing the white concrete with white concrete as well as other alternate white colored blocks. That way it's not just a solid white wall, and it has some, I guess, variety to it. Moving past the central square of the city and into the first inner ring, the central square as well as the first outer ring, I had to build manually because unfortunately there is no way of generating a circle this large. Luckily I was able to actually use an online Minecraft circle generator to allow me to figure out the exact diameter of the circle to allow me to build it. However, it did still take like 9 hours. So we gotta figure out the exact diameter and how many blocks the second ring is going to be, and then figure out the diameter of the circle. After doing a bunch of math and trying to calculate the exact size of how many blocks this circle would be, I gave up and just counted it manually. And then halfway through I realized if I use world edit to copy 2 different points in one singular line, I can figure out how many blocks that line is, and felt really dumb. Either way, after a gruesome amount of time of me just being really stupid and trying to figure out shit I don't understand, I eventually came to the conclusion that the second ring is 2,838 blocks long. Throwing this into our Minecraft circle generator chart to figure out the exact diameter, after getting our exact circle, we can now prepare to build it. Just save the PNG, we'll figure out the exact pixel measurements, and then we can construct our giant circle. Or at least that's what I'd like to say. But unfortunately it would appear the circle generator I was using for part 1 isn't able to save a PNG with a high enough resolution to actually go to this extreme size of a circle. Which means we're gonna have to math the shit out of this to figure out the exact diameter of a circle. Wait, what do you mean world that it can make a circle? Wait, you're telling me there's a generate circle command. And you're telling me this now, after I've spent 27 goddamn hours building a fucking circle. I could've just done /create circle, god damn it. Alright, let's go learn a new fucking command.
3 days later.
And I'm back with new knowledge on how to make circles. And yeah, gotta say, not impressed with my past self's decisions on not learning how to use World Edit properly, because holy crap, did I waste so much time trying to manually build circles. Also, now that we're actually able to make giant circles that actually are, like, I guess, circular shaped, I actually want to go back and change some things. And by some things, I mean, like, the entire map. I want to redo the inner circle, since, again, those are not exactly well built, so yeah, we're literally gonna start over, again, from zero. Well, sort of. Not really. We're gonna keep a lot of the stuff we built. The first thing I built in Priestella City was this cool fountain. A fountain which is inside of this really cool looking park, which is a giant circle in the very center of the city. While I did use a circle chart to allow me to build a perfect circle around this fountain, I did not use a circle chart when I built the actual, I guess, island area that the fountain is in, or this park thing, which is why it looks like some weird looking hexagon rather than a circle. I was content with the inner circle not looking that great because frankly, I didn't know at the time that you can make circles with World Edit, and Builder's ones don't let you build stuff diagonally. However, now that I'm aware that there is a command for World Edit that allows you to generate a Minecraft circle on a fucking cosmic scale, like seriously, as far as I'm aware, there is no limit to how big a circle you can generate outside of just, I guess, your general PC specs. The size of the circle you can generate with this command seems to just be limited by the amount of RAM that Minecraft has access to. So like, if it doesn't want to render this circle or keeps crashing, I can just keep throwing more RAM at Minecraft. I've been building Minecraft maps for like almost an entire decade at this point, and like the fact I didn't know this command existed, just like I'm amazed at my own cluelessness. Like I was part of the Build the Earth team for like, I spent an entire 2 years building the fucking Earth, a sphere in space. And somehow I never realized there is a generate planetary sized circle command. Anyways, we're gonna be restarting the map from scratch basically, but we're gonna be keeping all the buildings, locations, and just the stuff I like. So, we're taking that, we're taking this, we're gonna grab this. Well, this looks like garbage, but I'm keeping it. Alright, now that we've saved everything as a schematic that I want to actually keep in the map, it is time we restart from zero and begin this map anew, once again, with our newfound knowledge on how to build circles. So let's go harness the power of the Witch of Envy and return this map from death. Although, to return by death, you do have to have died. So let's end our map with some style. Farewell, 6 months of work. Domain expansion. Circle of the Void. Execute Create Sphere. 25,000 blocks. After a grueling 4 days of rebuilding everything once more, we are now back to where this video began. With the first 2 inner rings now completely mapped out, and the means of how to easily map out any future rings within our grasp, we can now return to the actual interior layout of the city, and begin mapping out its streets, rivers, canals, and especially the location of the government office. Now there's the first obvious question of where actually is the government office? Once the counterattack arc begins, they use the Muse Company building as a stronghold to hide out in. The reason I bring this up is because we know that the Muse Company building has to be somewhere near the central square, since after meeting Liliana, she takes Subaru directly to the building, meaning it has to be in walking distance. Garfield also carries Mimi's unconscious body all the way from the government office to this building like an absolute Chad. Like, holy shit, he just fucking ran all the way there. This tells me that the government office as well as the Muse Company building have to be relatively close to one another. The rest of the camps also travel from the Muse Company building to the government office later in the same episode, and we see them walking on foot. So with that said, if we can figure out where exactly the Muse Company building is, we can track down the exact position and location of the government office. So, where exactly is this building? It's not actually that difficult to figure out where this building is, because the canal we see directly in front of the Muse Company building has a divider in it, which means it has to be one of the main 4 canals. This means that the Muse Company building can only be alongside one of the main central canals. So, with all that said and done, where is the building? And once again, I have no fucking clue. So we're gonna take a guess. By guess, I mean we're gonna put it directly opposing the clock tower because it'll look cool. So now that we've mapped out where exactly the Muse Company building is, where might the government office be? And luckily, the anime actually answers this question for us.
なんやあいつらいつの間においおいおい冗談やないぞ
These 3 are currently standing directly in front of the government office, and get completely annihilated by the power of the ocean. Now, exactly 1 year ago, prior to Season 3 coming out, they actually released a teaser trailer for the season, which showed us a lot of the 3D environment they made for ReZero's Priestella city. In this short teaser video, we see a dove flying throughout the canals, soaring throughout the city, and then eventually ending up directly in front of the government office. This aligns perfectly with what we know about with Garfield getting bitch-slapped by the ocean, since if they are currently standing directly in front of one of the central canals, and this bird is going down a very long canal, only to end up at the front of the government office, this tells me the government office must actually be directly within one of the central canals. It must split the central canal and have the canal go around it, since that's the only way that this layout of this government building makes any goddamn sense. Also, something funny of note I want to mention about the Muse Company building. So, in the light novels, it's kind of mentioned that the area they send Capella into is like a cave. But, like, this is not a fucking cave. This is some underground dungeon-looking sewer area, and I'm now very confused because, like, this is under the Muse Company building. Why does this man own a fucking dungeon? But yeah, that's all I wanted to really mention, just the fact that, again, this guy who's in trading owns a fucking dungeon, and that's incredibly suspicious. I am much more concerned about his obsession with Liliana now, and, like, if any other character in the cast had a fucking dungeon, I'd be less suspicious. Like, I wouldn't bat an eye knowing that Priscilla has a dungeon, but like, holy shit, why do you have one? Either way, this means the government office has to be here, and that the Muse Company building has to be here, which makes sense for both these locations to be in walking distance of each other, as well as walking distance of the central square. So now that we've designated where we'll be building the government office as well as the Muse Company building, let's jump into this and start building.
逃げ場はもうないの
With the government office now fully complete, as well as its surrounding buildings completely mapped out, this is where I'm going to end part 2. Part 3 will be out in 2 weeks. I'll be releasing the time-lapse videos every other Wednesday, alternating between each episode. Originally, I was going to release a time-lapse video with every episode's release, but I want to make these videos as high quality as possible, including animations, and was making the time-lapse look as great as I possibly can make it. So instead of releasing a time-lapse video alongside each ReZero episode on every Wednesday, I will be alternating them and doing every other Wednesday. Basically, I was like, oh yeah, I can do this every Wednesday, and then I looked behind me and remembered, alright, I can't spend the entire week editing one video and working on animations because I'm eternally trapped in the fucking Pizzaplex. Fazbear tomfoolery aside, the next episode will be out on March 5th, alongside that day's episode of ReZero.
What was that?
That is a fountain. A fountain is a decorative reservoir used for discharging water.
With all that said, I hope you all had a wonderful morning, a great evening, and an incredible existence, and I will see all of you this Saturday with our Security Breach building stream. But back to this series, I am hoping to accomplish a lot more in part 3. Since most of this video and the time I put into it was just kind of rebuilding stuff that we already built and redoing the entire central square, the only new thing we really built was the government office. The 2 weeks I originally planned on actually building the government office and the rest of the outer ring in, I ended up spending actually rebuilding the entire central square. Only really working on the government office the last 2 days, pretty much right before this video is meant to go live, which is why it's a day late. So yeah, I pretty much did all of this in a day and a half, so expect part 3 to have a lot more progress in the main city. Since if I can build all of this in a day and a half, imagine what I can actually get done in 2 weeks of building the inner city. But until then, I will leave you with this edit of Wide Reggie I made that somehow blew up. Like, why the fuck does this have so many views? Oh my god.
いるんだよね。ヒーラーみたいな自分を特別と勘違いしてる奴らがさ、気持ち悪い。
異精霊の子を一人つけるから頑張ってて。これでもガキの頃は表情のプリンセスって。
どこだよ。そんなものはないっていい加減気づけよ。浮気女と真男が。